Can pain heal pain? It's a very interesting concept for me to think about. I wanted to read to you a little page or two out of Neurosculpting because it is a little inquiry into pain and pain maps and how we perceive pain. And then at the end, I'm going to give you a little exercise to do and share with you some interesting information about what I'm seeing with my clients who experience chronic pain. So I'm going to read to you a little bit. This will take just a couple minutes. When I reflect back, I see that it was about the time of my cousin's schizophrenic diagnosis that I also happened to be reading the book called I Never Promised You a Rose Garden by Joanne Greenberg, alias Hannah Green. This was a semi-autobiographical account of a teenage girl's battle with schizophrenia. The book blew open my world and swept me away. I actually stayed home from school for 2 days because I wanted to read the book, and I told my mother I was sick. That's how much the book blew me away. I empathized with the main character, and I felt that I could understand my cousin a little bit better. Frighteningly, I felt the book described a very personally familiar world to me. In the story, there are moments when the main character suffers so much pain and confusion that she has to self-mutilate. Well, to me, that made perfect sense. And it frightened me that it made perfect sense. It was absolutely logical to me that a person in such a deep internal pain, locked in her mind, would want to cause physical pain to herself as a distraction or as a mask, or as a reminder that there was a body world involved. Candidly, the reason this is so personal for me is because as someone who was always dissociated and in the frozen state, the only way I actually knew I had a body was when it was in pain. So pain was very life-affirming for me. So I began to wonder about the neurological associations that could cause someone to use physical pain to treat their mental pain. And I'm not sure I found a good answer. But what I did find out caused me to revere this magical connection between body and mind even more. It convinced me that segregating the two only allows for half of life's rich story to come through. The union of body and mind and spirit demands we begin to decipher the language of each of them. The discoveries around how the mind processes pain reinforced for me that developing a mental entrainment practice that helped me deal with my negative or fear-based stories could perhaps help me mitigate unnecessary body pain. Science has only begun to unfold and actually map certain mind-body relationships. We have now come to an understanding that the very same neurological pathways in the brain that activate during physical pain also activate in the same way during emotional pain. These neurological implications match what you know in your heart to be true. That emotional pain is as real to the mind and body as physical pain. Take a moment to think of this in your own life. Take a moment to think of the time you broke up with your first love, or you were rejected, or some kind of deep emotional pain. And I want you to think about the words you've used to describe that. A lot of our descriptions for emotional pain are adjectives that describe physical pain. So we say things like, I'm crushed, I'm torn apart, I'm heartbroken, beaten down, I'm destroyed, I'm shattered, I'm numb. Embedded in the vernacular of our language description of pain is this amazing clue that we are sometimes overlapping emotional and physical. Remember when you were so depressed you lost your appetite? That's a physical response, but it was an emotional pain. Remember you were so betrayed that one time that maybe you felt like you could vomit? Or remember when you were so embarrassed that you were frozen? Or remember when you were so angry that you began to shake? What would you categorize worse? The emotional pain or the physical pain? And this is where this gets very interesting for me. And I want you to sort of think about this with me. I can describe many aspects of physical pain I've experienced in my life, but I cannot invoke them in my body. I can describe natural childbirth to you as probably one of the most intense pains I've ever felt, but I cannot feel that in my body. But if I were to talk to you about an emotional crisis I had, I could start to feel that rise up in my body as a body response. This is very interesting for me to think about. That emotional pain, sometimes dismissed by society or family or others, can actually be more visceral and longer lasting than physical pain, which is easily addressed and acknowledged by others. If I break my leg, everyone around me will probably come to my aid. But if I have heartbreak, that might inconvenience others. They might not even know I'm having it, or they might just not even give me the time of day. How interesting we treat pain because of our perception of it, yet science is showing it's activating the same pathways. So what is the difference? This is very interesting for me to think about. So here's the little invitation that I give to you. If you were to write down some of your more emotional moments of pain in your life, and then write down some adjectives that describe that pain, you might notice some physical descriptions. And then after you do that, if you were to stand up and shake vigorously while sort of imagining that, you might actually start to mitigate and downregulate your body, uncoupling from that experience. And if nothing else, it's just really interesting to see how we map these two things together. So I did say I would tell you just a little bit about what my clients have experienced or told me. I have some obsessive compulsive pickers picking at their skin in my private practice, and I also have some self-mutilators, or I've had them in the past. And here's what they tell me. They tell me that it gets worse when there's emotional pain. They pick more, they self-mutilate more, but that it's actually for them the only moments that they feel release. How interesting. That the moments they get emotional pain release are the moments that they feel physical pain. And like I said, I don't have a good answer, but it's fascinating to me that they can inflict pain to momentarily get a reprieve from pain. And I understand this in my own life because as a child, I had to have pain to even address the fact that I had a body. Pain was life-affirming, as I said in the beginning. Interesting explorations. Love your thoughts on it. Feel free to tell me your thoughts. And if you want to find out more interesting thought explorations, you can go here. Hope you have a great day.